and no longer having to act in survival mode for the first year for 3 years of my life, which is wild. And I'm so excited, like so excited. Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. I hope you're all okay. I am going to call this my birthday special episode. I think every year since I've started this podcast, I have done an episode on my birthday, and I enjoy doing these episodes because I feel like it's good to have a little catch up, and like birthdays can be really quite a reflective time of your life. So I want to share some things today about where I'm at with life, like reflection. And I like being able to do this because it is also like a little bit of like a journey for me to look back on. Like I'm able to go back and listen to like my 30th birthday one or like my 31st birthday one. Did I do one about my 30th? I don't think I had the podcast on my 30th, did I? So maybe it was the following year. Maybe I did one on my 31st. Yeah, that's right. I did one on my 31st to reflect on my year of being 30 and being single and stuff. So I do love doing these episodes. So hopefully it's going to be an enjoyable one to listen to and something that you can listen to and think, hey, like in 3 years' time, maybe this is where I'm going to be. And like when I think about 3 years, I think, oh my God, that is like such a long time. But it feels like I have blinked. And I'm 33. I went through the most turbulent time at 29, and I just think that like it's so crazy because it has flown by, because now I'm like 2 days from celebrating my 33rd birthday. It's just wild to me. This year my birthday is on a Saturday, which is great. Me and all my friends are going out in the city near me. I'm gonna go out for day drinks. I'm really excited. All my friends, bar my best friend Josh, all have children, and I feel like I take the role of the single girl in the group, but the one that makes the single plans. So like I'm very respectful to their sort of schedules. Organising a girls' Christmas night is just pandemonium. It's crazy. Getting us all together on one night is just, it's like herding cats, because some of my friends have 2 children, some of them have 1. And so Christmas and navigating this time of year is just so difficult. I know everyone is so busy, but even busier when you have children. So I locked this night in this day in really early in the year. I was like, sorry guys, I know my birthday is like one of the last in the year. One of my best friend's birthday is actually on Christmas Day, but I was like, I know my birthday, my birthday is one of the lasts in the year, but can we get a date locked in? Because I know you're all so busy. So we've got this date locked in. I'm going to be out, and I am going to put on my Instagram. I'm actually going to finish work on Thursday evening. So tonight I'm doing all my editing today. I'm finishing tonight, and I'm actually having Friday, Saturday, Sunday off of doing anything. So I'm going to go a bit quiet on my socials, but I do think it is really important to take a step back. I've programmed and like scheduled posts and stuff because I like to still post and stuff. But in terms of like my DMs and replies and things like that, I am going to be off until Monday, just because I want to sit and enjoy my birthday. The fact that I've Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've got 3 solid days. If you have been around since my 31st birthday, you know that I celebrated my 30th birthday over around a week. I think I had a week or a week and a half of birthday celebrations, which was wild, but very worth it. So yeah, I'm doing that this weekend. I'm going to completely switch off and just have some time. And I think it's really difficult when you are doing things like this because it's all like programmed by your phone. And sometimes I do look up and I'm like, my screen time is so high. My screen time is different because I'm not doom scrolling. I'm actually looking at trends. Well, I am scrolling, but I'm looking at trends, saving things, commenting, engaging, and all the rest of it. And like having my TikTok and my Instagram, it can be quite full on. So I get loads of DMs and I love chatting with you all, but sometimes I do need some time off as well. So I'm taking some much earned time off over my birthday. So Hopefully you guys will all understand, but I will reply on Monday, I promise. So this will go out on Friday and I will reply on Monday. But yeah, so I have a lot of plans over this weekend. Tomorrow I am, so the day that's going out. So Friday I'm going out for brunch, and then I've got some really nice plans in the afternoon and the evening. And then Saturday, yeah, like I said, I'm going out with my friends. And then Sunday I'm going to spend it with my family, and it's just chaos. When my family get together now, it's just absolute chaos. We have the 6 of us plus brother-in-law plus sister-in-law plus 4 children. Honestly, it's just mental. And my youngest nephew is getting to the point now where like he's smiling and making noises, engaging. I said to my sister today, I was like, he's the quietest baby ever. Like, we are certified yappers. And like my nieces yap, my nephew is constantly talking. Like, we made, what did we do last night? We made the Paw Patrol cupcakes. Oh my God, honestly, he ran to the door when I walked into my mum and dad's house and he was like, Paw Patrol cupcakes. Well, he obviously didn't say it, but he said it in his own little language. And I was like, oh my God, Paw Patrol cupcakes. When do they go from like not being able to say anything and just kind of speaking baby language to actually being able to copy the sounds that you're saying, which is frightening because my language is horrendous. It used to be a lot worse because I used to obviously work on construction sites. So it would be effing this, effing that. And I was around people that swore a lot. So it is getting better, but sometimes I say something like yesterday, my eldest niece was icing a cupcake. I went, bloody hell. And then I looked at her and I was like, don't say bloody. And she looked at me and I was like, my brother's going to kill me. I was like, bloody is an adult word. Please don't say it. And she was like, okay, Auntie Liz. I was like, but yeah, it's just wild how quickly they grow up. But yeah, so they're my birthday plans. But like I said, I just wanted to do an episode on like where I am with life and what mindset changes have happened this year and what I want out of my 33rd years, which I think my 33rd years are going to be the best yet. I think I'll probably sit here and say this about every year that I've gone through, but I think people presumed this year, because I've grown so much, like online wise, that I've had a really good year. But quite frankly, this year has been really challenging, and being 32 has been really difficult. Not as hard as being 29 and 30, but I have had a challenging year and I've had to make a lot of sacrifices, and I haven't really sat down and reflected on that other than in my therapy sessions. So I'm going to sit down and reflect on that. Also, if you are watching, I need to put you on something. So the Ordinary skincare, unreal. The value and the money that you spend on that skincare, I don't know how it is so cheap. It is the most unbelievable skincare I have ever used. And if you're watching, you will see how glowy my skin is. That is a glow. It's not a shine. It's like, you can't, if I wipe my forehead, that's a shine. Now that is not a Botox top up either, because I haven't had one, in need of one, but I haven't had one. I have started using, so I've been started getting like quite deep under the skin spots that I just get one. I've got one on my cheek here at the minute, but I just get like one random one. And I was researching it and it's all about exfoliating, and I use a really good liquid exfoliator, but I've started using this red face mask. I probably should have remembered what it was called. But you literally put it on, it's red, it goes on as a liquid, it doesn't dry or anything, it just goes on as a liquid. It's a really deep, invigorating exfoliator, and you leave it on for 10 minutes. Do not leave it on for longer than 10 minutes. And then you wash it off. And honestly, I did it this morning whilst I was getting ready, and the shine and glow to my skin is giving 33. I love it. It's so good. Yeah, sorry, that was just as a side, because I can see myself in this screen. I've got 2 screens and then like my camera, and I can see myself in this screen, and I could see when I was like moving my face that it was like glowy. So I thought I would just say that obviously it can look sometimes like it's oil, but it isn't. It's actually the glow that this mask has given me, and I absolutely love it. I think everyone should use it. But yeah, the Ordinary skincare products, amazing. I think my body, my hormones are just still like all over the place. I know I was on a non-hormone coil, but I've read somewhere that when you get your copper coil taken out, that sometimes your skin can go a little bit berserk. I am only on month 7, I think, of not having a coil. So I am just letting my skin just kind of calm down a little bit. I'm going to start taking a supplement from a company that I used to take their PMS support when I used to have really bad period pains with my coil. So I'm going to start taking some supplements from there because I know that they work. Because honestly, if you suffer with period pains or PMS, the PMS support from JS Health is a game-changing supplement. I am not just saying that. I have not been paid to say that. I wish I had been paid to say that. A little partnership with them wouldn't go amiss. But their PMS support is unbelievable. I used to have really bad period pains because of the copper coil. If you know, you know. And they made them so much more manageable, like so much more manageable. So much so that like now I've come off the coil, I feel like I'm a 16, sorry if you're a guy listening to this, but I feel like I'm a 16-year-old girl again. My periods take me by surprise. I'm like, oh, I have no period pains. Whereas when I was on the coil, my God, I remember being crouched down in my mum's kitchen once, like on my hands and knees, because my period pains were that bad, like awful. It's something that I will always bend my bra over. I don't understand why the women have to be on the contraception, because it's just such a hard decision to make, because there's not one form of contraception I don't think I've ever been on that hasn't affected me mentally or physically. So, you know, I'm not on anything now, but like, it's just so annoying. Anyway, I need to rant over. That didn't mean that to be a rant. I am going to start taking these supplements and I will let you know how I get on with them. Just how I will also let you know what workout plan I'm following. I've got another week left. And then I'm going to share with everybody what I've been doing. I've just made the most delicious lunch as well. Anyway, I have rambled on for 10 minutes and I'm going to ramble on for a further 50. So buckle up, because this episode is being 32, what I have learned, and my 33 years and my plans. And I'm going to talk to you about mindset. I'm just going to talk to you about everything that I have gone through mentally wise and how I think now, and just do a year's catch up with you, and hopefully you will take something away and think, oh, do you know what, I could actually probably use that mindset shift in my life, or I'm actually going through something similar and everything will be okay, kind of thing. And I can see a way out now I've listened to this episode. So without further ado, guys, let's get into it.
I don't think I ever really spoke about the devastation that losing my job actually caused. And I think that's why this year has been like really, really hard. I remember saying to my mum and dad, like, next year's going to be different. Like, next year I'm going to have a job, or next year something's like going to pay like my social media, or something is going to happen and everything is going to be okay. And I lost my job in July. So July, August, September, October, November, December. So I was like 5 months into being unemployed. And I think I hadn't realized just how much working at home had impacted me. And when I was looking for jobs, I was terrified that I was going to have to go back into an office, and I was going to have to like commute, and I was going to have to like compromise what I wanted to do online just to be able to pay my bills. And I was like, hold on a second, I've got to strip it all back there. Like, I need a job because I have bills to pay. And I remember going into the new year, my sisters and my mum and dad and my brother-in-law all went to Australia in April, and mum and dad were like, we'll pay for you. Like, just come, we'll pay for you. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I don't want you to have to pay for me just to go to Australia. And they were like, it's going to be a family holiday, and like, you know, you've never been and we've been and your sisters have been, and blah, 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 just come with us. And it was so hard to say no. But I'd lived in a world previous to that where I didn't really have to like worry about money. And it was only recently that I've started having money worries. And I honestly do not think I slept from like the 1st of January to like the end of April. And like the first quarter of the year, I don't think I slept. Every night I laid in bed thinking, how on earth am I going to make ends meet? Like, how the hell am I going to make this money? If you live on your own, you know how expensive things are. If you're not from England, the average mortgage payment when I got my mortgage in 2023 was about £800 a month. Gas and electric's about 150. My council tax is £100. Like your phone bills, everything that goes out, you know, car payments and stuff. I'm fortunate that I don't have a car payment, but my car payment when I did have a car payment was like £350, like £400 a month. I know some people that pay like £600 a month. Everything is so expensive. And there was times last year and this year definitely that I said to my mum, like, I'm just going to sell my house. I'm going to sell my house. I've got money in the house. I'm just going to sell it. Like, what have I got to lose? Absolutely nothing. It's just one of those things. I didn't ever think that I was going to be unemployed. And what can I do? Like, I'm literally getting down to my last couple of £1,000s, and I have this whole house to pay for. And it kind of like when I was going through my breakup, it was like, well, I'm never going to find anybody again. Like, how am I going to move on? How am I going to move forward from this? And I'd completely forgotten how much mental work I had done during my breakup to be able to get out of those sorts of mindsets. And it had all come flooding back, but in a different way. And I remember speaking to my therapist, and my therapist was like, this has got nothing to do with the fact that you were made redundant by your ex. Like, this is something to do with like your brain has gone into like fight or flight mode again because you're panicking about something. And you're not doing all the work that we've done because you're not applying it to this situation. I'm like, yeah, but finances and love, like, what the hell? She was like, no, remember how strong you are. Remember how you are so positive about your future now, so positive that you're going to meet somebody, so positive that you're going to get married, have children, and have everything that you ever dreamed of once upon a time in your life. Like, you are not scared about your future anymore. And I was like, that's so true. I'd got myself so bogged down in a hole because there is absolutely nothing worse than money trouble. And it's funny because when you owe £1,000 on a credit card, they come for you. I've recently realised that I haven't set up a direct debit. I cancelled all my direct debits after clearing my credit cards, but I cancelled my direct debit and I missed a payment. And when I missed a payment on a credit card that had over £1,000 on, it was like, where's the money? Where's the money? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. This is going to impact your credit score. Whereas I've got £60 out on a credit card and I forgot to pay the minimum payment because they weren't chasing me. And I was like, where's the threatening letters there? Like, where's all... And I'd never missed a payment in my life. And yet I was getting threats constantly when I had these credit cards. And now when there was like £60 on a credit card, they're like, nah, is what it is. It's so bad. Like, everything costs so much money. And I've started to, and I'll come on to this, I've started to budget a little bit better. I was talking about this on my Patreon about how to get back on your feet when you go from 2 incomes to 1, because I don't think I've really deeped going from 2 incomes to 1 because I didn't. I went from like having an allowance almost and having like 1 income to then my own income. And my income could float, what I was earning could float me 1000%. In the job in my house now that I have, it wouldn't have been able to pay for my old house, but it could have afforded to float me in this house. And so just going back to what my therapist said with like getting into the right mindset about applying what I have learned throughout my entire breakup journey to like separate situations in my life was so true. And I remember my mum and dad, the reason why I told you in Australia, because it was a poignant moment. I remember in Australia, I was saying to my mum and dad, like, I'm going to make this work. And if it doesn't work, then at least I know I've put my all into it. And I'm honestly saying this from the bottom of my heart. And I'm honestly saying this with so much truth. And I'm not just saying this because everybody says it when they're going through like a hard time, but genuinely, and I know I always say that I'm busy and whatever, I have never worked this hard in my entire life, even when I was at law school. I have grafted, I have learned, I have listened, I have done things, I have failed, I've gone through so many algorithm changes. I wish Instagram and TikTok would just stop changing their bloody algorithms. It does my friggin' head in. You nail it and then they change it. And it's doing it at the moment. There's been an algorithm change on the 12th of November on TikTok where they've just decided to start copying Instagram on their grid posts for stories. And so everyone is posting on their stories grid posts. And it's like a feature that TikTok is like really, really pushing. And if you are listening to this and you have any interest in like content creation or anything like that, you have to be seen to be using the new features. Otherwise, you're going to get left behind. You are going to be left in 800, 900 view jail. You have to push out the new features. It does not matter what worked before. You have to be doing these new features. So I'm like trying to learn constantly about like, oh, there's a new grid feature on TikTok stories and all the rest of it. Even like posting to TikTok stories, I forget to do that. It's so hard. And what I have learned this year is that no matter how many views you get on a video, on a reel, on a post, if it's awful, I have over 220,000 followers on TikTok. I can still get stuck in 450 view jail. I can get stuck there. I can get stuck in 2,000 jail. I can get stuck in 80,000 jail. I can get stuck in 100,000 jail. I have 200,000 followers. You'd think that my views would be up all the time. It doesn't work like that. You have to post when things get tough. And that is what I have learned. When things get tough, you have to grit down and you have to keep going. And it's different when I was going through my breakup. Gritting down and getting through things emotionally was different than gritting down and working friggin' hard. And I think I have realized, because sometimes you don't realize how much grit and determination you actually have to get through something. And people say, oh my God, you're so strong for getting through your breakup and stuff. And I think, yeah, I am, but like, isn't everyone? And then when things like this come around, you think you are leveling out. You think, okay, this is fine. This is cool vibes. Great. We are getting somewhere in the whole breakup job scenario. I'm working hard. I like my job. It's working. I can work for my ex. I can still pay my bills. I've still got a great income. And then bang, just like I was abandoned, you've lost your job. And like, can I go catch a break? Can we catch a break? I didn't realize how much hard work I think I put in, because it just becomes normal. You get up and you get on with your day every day when you're going through a breakup. I'd forgotten that was the kind of hard work that I needed to then put into my life going forward, because I needed to realize that I have got bills to pay and I had got the hard work in me and I could do the hard work. And it is friggin' tough, and it is still tough. And making money online is not for the faint-hearted, especially when you're like me, who I turn down ad opportunities all the time. All the time. I had a company land in my inbox the other day and they were like, send me your rates. And I just said, I don't partner with brands that I don't believe in. And they were like, okay, well, we can send you a product. And I was like, yeah, that's all well and good, but I wouldn't necessarily like go for your product online anyway. So it's really hard, because I could have probably made a lot more money online this year with my social media following going up and brands reaching out to me and stuff. But that's not how I want to make a living. I want to make my own business. I want my own podcast. I want my own products. And that's how I see this going. And so I just wanted to chat, not briefly. I mean, I've probably chatted for about 10 minutes on money, but it's been a really, really tough year. And I think not even my friends have realized how tough it's been. And my sisters, they didn't realize. I sat outside the shop and I had got something cleared. I think I cleared one of my credit cards. And I was like, that payment for that credit card was near on £400 a month. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, it was crippling me. And they were like, we had no idea. Like, you hide things so well. And I was like, I do hide things so well. But also, like, I needed to just grit down and work hard. And I think a lot of my 33rd years are going to be me head down. I've got at least another 2 years in me where I don't want to look up from this. I want to be tunnel vision, working hard. And it's going to get easier, I think, as I get more of a regular sort of income in. But that's how I envision this year for me, financially and work-wise, is that I have somehow along the way become that career-minded woman that I was when I stepped foot in law school. And I remember saying to my mum, I want to be the lawyer that turns up in the red bottom heels, and I want to walk into court and I want people to be like, who's that? That's how I went into law school. And I loved it when people said, like, what do you do at uni? And I'd be like, I'm a law student. And the weight that carried and stuff. And people were always like, oh my God, like, you must be really career driven. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I've always been really career driven. And then obviously my ex's business kind of took over, and quite rightly, it was great and it's very successful. And someone even said to me, I said this on my Patreon the other day, someone said to me in the pub, oh God, your ex's business is doing really well, isn't it? And I was like, why are you telling me that? Why are you not stood in front of me saying like, hey, like, what are you up to now? Career-wise, what are you doing considering your ex made you redundant? They don't say that to me. They just word vomit 24/7. Your ex's business is doing really well, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Good. I'm glad. He's a grafter. It's so weird, but I think I lost a lot of my spark and drive working for my ex. And I think I had kind of covered that up in the fact that I had bills to pay. So when people were saying like, go and get a new job, I was like, no, why would I do that? I've got a stable income. And instead of thinking like, I've got a stable income, that's obviously something that is important, but have I lost my drive a little bit? Could I be doing a little bit more? Has that fire in my belly gone? And all those questions, yeah, that it had. I had no drive. I had no fire in my belly. There was nothing. I wasn't excited about anything. I wasn't excited about working. And now I've got like that fire back in my belly, where in law school, I would stay up until 4 or 5 a.m. just working, just because I wanted to do well. And I knew that I had to put the work in. That's how I feel now. And sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I'm absolutely exhausted, and I think like this weekend, I'm going to give myself some time off. I think, yeah, I'm going to give myself some time off to recharge so I can come back on Monday with a fresh set of eyes, new content. Like my whole content plan has gone to plan this year, but I'm a little bit behind with the last quarter just because I've been so busy. But there's a thing on my pinboard and I will show it to you guys at the end of the year. And I keep looking at it and I think, yeah, I think I can do that in the next couple of weeks. And I actually can't wait to take that off my pinboard. There's a couple of things that I can actually take off my pinboard this year from like my dream board. And even though that is motivating, sometimes you can even lose sight of that. So one of my biggest things that I am taking away into my 33s is that I have become the hardworking career woman that was always in me and through no fault of anyone's disappeared. And now she's back and it excites me. And I've got a picture on my pinboard of somebody stood on the stage with a microphone. And I would absolutely love in the next 2-3 years to be able to stand up in front of a room full of people and inspire them and talk about how much I went through and talk about and have conversations with everybody and have basically like a live podcast episode. Like I would absolutely love to do something like that, but I've got big plans. I've got a certain amount of followers that I want to get to before I approach different companies. That's what's in it for next year. So that's what's something I'm going to go on to next. So what does my 33rd year on this earth look like to me? So I've got big fat plans next year. I'm going to start off with something that I have been talking about more and more, considering we're here talking about like relationships and breakups and stuff. Do I see a 33-year-old me getting into a relationship? Yes. And what does that look like for me? I do not see myself frolicking around dating. I feel like I've frolicked. I feel like I have done enough sort of not dating. Yeah, dating. And also enough sort of like situationships, seeing people, texting people, casual stuff like that. Whilst I've been single, I feel like I've done enough of that now. I feel like, not that I've got it out of my system because I don't think there was ever anything in the system to get out of. But I feel like I've experienced that enough to be able to say, hey, do you know what? I've been single for 3 years. I've done this. I've had this much fun. I've texted him and I've like been on dates with him. And, you know, I think I have, I'm going to call it frolicking. I've pranced around. I've frolicked. I've done that. And I think being off dating apps until 2 weeks ago, I spent a 2-week stint on there. I think being off dating apps has been the most mind clearing thing I have ever done. And I remember being like, I'm going to spend this entire year off dating apps. Bar 2 weeks, I have spent the entire year off dating apps. And people will say to me, where are you going to meet somebody? My mum, I know I attack her when it comes to dating. She's always in the firing line. For example, I bought 4 new bar stools the other day. She was like, is that because you've seen someone and their friends come around? I was like, no, it's because I have more than 4 friends, but it'd be nice to be able to say to people, do you want to come around for dinner and sit down? So yeah, I think like my mum is, when I say like I don't want to be on dating apps, my mum's like, where are you going to meet people? And I'm like, Jesus, Elaine, like I know in my heart of hearts, going back to how I got through my breakup, applying that to how I got through losing my job and being so open-minded and being like, no, do you know what? The universe is going to deliver. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to be able to grow my social media. I'm going to be able to grow my podcast. I'm going to be able to reach more people. I was so open-minded. I've been manifesting hard this year for that. What's to say that I can't do that with a person and a man? And I am going to channel all of that positive energy into being deadly serious about what I want in a relationship. And I know maybe the first person I meet might not be the one, but who used to say that the first person that I bump into at an airport isn't going to be the person that I turn around and say, this guy's for me. I'm going to be so open-minded when I'm 33 to the prospects of meeting somebody. And I am still going to stay off dating apps. I fully am going to stay off dating apps. I cannot explain how awful dating apps make me feel. It's not me. It is just not me. I'm an organic person. I think you can tell nothing online. You can't even tell how somebody talks over a text. You can't tell their personality. You can't tell whether they're funny. You can't tell anything. I don't like them. I'm an organic person. And my best friend last year had met somebody when she went out in Blackpool. They're together now. They're talking about moving in next year. She literally just bumped into him randomly. And she's a workaholic. So I have to drag her out by her hair to get her to come out. And she was single and she was on dating apps. She wasn't really bothered. And she's met her partner really organically, bumped into him in a nightclub in Blackpool when her and my other best friend went away for a weekend. And now they're together. Like, these things do happen. And like, I sit here and I say, like, you cannot be pushed down by society pressures. The pressure of society will get to you. And if you're telling everybody, you know, well, the pressure of society is going to get to you, but down, you should be able to do this. Are you actually doing that yourself? Because so many times I've sat there and been like, don't get that bogged down by society pressures. And then I'll sit there and be like, I need to go on dating apps because I'm 33 this year and I need to probably meet a boy. How are you preaching about society pressures and then getting worried yourself? Like, are you applying that to yourself? I've spent a lot of this year challenging myself, challenging my own thoughts. And I think that comes from like the fact that I lead with my heart in everything that I do. And I lead with emotion. And that is, I think, reflected in how big I dream, how I love so hardly, so deeply. And I think I've realized in the last year how much wisdom there is in like balancing being emotional and leading with my heart and being an open book, and actually being not like logical, but like making sure my head has a decision in that as well. And I have challenged myself, like I've said, so much in the last year because, for example, like I said, I'm sitting here week on week saying I'm happy being single and happy doing things by myself, and not spending 2025 as the year is where I meet somebody. I've told myself that every single week pretty much on this episode, on this podcast. So the universe has gone, no, she doesn't want it. She has not opened up herself to even thinking about a male. And then I got onto a dating app and wondered why I hated it so much. How's the universe going? You've spent the last 10 months saying you don't want a man. You preach about it every single week. Why are you doing this? And I wish those 2 weeks of like, not failure, because it's not failure getting on a dating app, but those 2 weeks of like weakness for me, I challenged myself a little bit more and said, you've got 3 months left of the year. What are you doing? This wasn't the plan for this year. You've managed 10 months. What are you doing? I didn't challenge myself. I completely, not broke down, but I completely went in on myself and thought, oh my God, like I'm getting towards the end of the year. I need to find someone. Not, I've done 10 months. I can do another 3. And that's not to say that I'm not going to have to do another year. You know, I'm hopeful that maybe I will meet somebody next year. And I don't think I ever thought I would sit here and share on my podcast that I want to meet somebody. Like, I think if I listened to my episode from last year and the year before, like the contrast would be huge. I am excited about meeting somebody new. I do want to welcome somebody into my life. I want to be able to introduce somebody to my family. And I saw this meme the other day that was like, I'm looking for the uncle to my nieces and nephews. And it like really like hit me in the chest, because I thought, yeah, my eldest niece remembers my ex. My little niece, my nephews obviously don't, but like my eldest niece does. And he left her as well. And she loved him to death. And it breaks my heart that he did that to her. And so I've not only got myself to protect and my family, I now have all these little people that are going to be looking and saying, is this Uncle so-and-so? Like, who am I going to invite into my life? Like, who's going to come into my life and know that and I just want to meet, and I am hopeful that I'm going to meet somebody that's going to come into my life and say, that is awful. Like, how did somebody do that to someone? And just understand that maybe I don't want to introduce them to the family straight away. Maybe I don't want to introduce them to my little people, because they're the most important people in my life, and they were the most hurt, especially my niece. And so all these things have been going round in my head, like, am I ready for that? And so go back a year, all these things were probably going around in my head, but I knew for certain that I was not ready. I knew I wanted to put every single fiber of my being into creating my podcast and doing my own mind stuff this year. Now, if I sat here and reflected and said, am I ready to invite somebody into my life? Can I think about somebody coming into my life and introducing them to my family and introducing them to my nieces and nephews? Yeah, I think I can. Which is wild, because It's not that I never thought that I would get here. That's not the case. I never thought that I would be able to get to a point where I trust myself to say it. And I trust and know that it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be the best thing ever. And I think that's one of the things that I've definitely learned this year. Like, I'm not looking for someone out of fear. I'm looking for somebody because I want to love someone again. And like, I'm not craving comfort anymore. I'm like opening my heart because I want someone to open their heart up to me. And so when I say I've challenged myself, I mean that I have like thought things like, I need to go on a dating app. Have I grounded myself and thought, do I? Because for a majority of this year I did, apart from those 2 weeks. And so I have definitely learned that like not following my heart doesn't mean that I'm abandoning it. But following my head a little bit more means that I'm like trying to put logic to my heart's feelings, if that makes sense. And like trusting both parts is going to eventually lead me in the right way, down the right path eventually. And hopefully when I come on and say what's in it in my 34 years, I'm going to be saying, I met somebody and I've opened my heart up, and that man's going to remain a mystery because, like I said, I'm keeping it all offline. But like, I am excited to see where that part of my life is going to go next year. And I do think 33 sounds right when I say to like in the future, oh, I met them when I was 33. That sounds right to me. And that might sound insane to you, but it sounds right to me. It sounds like I can say confidently that I have gone through a huge breakup. I was engaged. I was with somebody for 14 years. I've been single for 3.5, potentially 4 when I meet somebody. And the one story that gets me, and I told this on my Patreon, so I'm going to tell it on here, is that my sister bumped into her ex on an airplane. So weird. And she was with my brother-in-law. And I can't remember how long they'd been together, probably 5, 6 years. And my brother-in-law was like, where have you been? And my sister was like, just to my ex. And my brother-in-law was like, that's so random. And my sister was like, yeah, it was so random. And then my sister turned around and said she did not even give it a second thought. And my brother-in-law did not question it at any point and never has done. Just was like, that's weird, isn't it? And I am going to take that story and apply it to myself. That like, I know that if I got into another relationship, if I bumped into my ex on an airplane, I would not give it a second thought. Now I'd be like, oh, I just bumped into my ex. And I wouldn't even think about it. And I know confidently that the person that I meet, because of the time I've taken to heal, because of all the work that I did, because I went to therapy and I have learned about all of these emotions and how to deal with them and what they mean and how to challenge myself, how to do the shadow work, when I've been wrong, when I've been right, when I needed my feelings validated, when I create boundaries, when I've let boundaries go. Because I have taken the time to learn all of this together. If I ever bump into my ex on an aeroplane and then go sit down next to my partner and say, sorry, I've just bumped into my ex on an aeroplane. Not only will I be confident in knowing that I'm probably sat there going, the fact that we booked the same place is so weird. And that's it. I'm confident in knowing that that's what my partner is thinking as well. I would hate to think that my ex's name was an elephant in the room ever. Because I know for a fact that if I'd have jumped into another relationship dead quick and bumped into my ex 5, 6 years down the line, with my partner knowing that there was unresolved emotion, I jumped into a relationship 6 months after we broke up, I would hate for the doubt to be in their mind that, oh my God, that's the ex that they didn't really take time to get over, or that's the ex that they left me for. And, you know, and then all of a sudden you're both sat there on the airplane and you're thinking, oh my God, like that was so weird. I wonder what it all means. And like, oh, we never did have that last final conversation. And your partner is sat there thinking, are they thinking about their ex? And for me, that has like been the funniest story, because happened many years ago to my sister. And it has dawned on me recently just how much that story has impacted like my thought process in, I don't want to be sat next to somebody for them to think, is she thinking about her ex because she never took any time to be single afterwards? I want someone to be sat next to me to be like, do you know what? I am fully confident that her ex is not going to cross her mind. And that is why I'm so glad that I have taken the time to be single and on my own, because it does impact future relationships. And I hope that story made you smile, because it has had a huge impact on me recently. And I thought, God, yeah, do you know what? I would be just like my sister now. And I think that's how I know that I am completely ready to open my life up and invite somebody in.
Finally, I wanted to talk on how hard reflection is when you've had a rough year. I have achieved a lot this year. I've achieved a lot silently this year. I have moved quietly this year. I have truly and wholeheartedly understood protecting my peace. I have realized how much damage chasing closure and proving yourself actually causes. And I will just dissect that further. What I mean is, I have massively understood how important it is to protect your peace, because I'm a Scorpio, obviously, with my birthday being Friday and in November. And I will say I'm a Scorpio through and through. Like, I could not be any other star sign other than my jealousy. I don't think I'm necessarily a jealous person, but I think jealousy is one of those traits where you can actually come out of it. And I have been known to be a jealous girlfriend when I was younger, but I think I just learned kind of moving forward with my ex, like, and how we did like trust each other. I became like the least jealous type of person, but I don't think I get jealous, but I am quite protective, and that is a trait of a Scorpio. However, one of the traits of a Scorpio is being secretive. And I always think that like being secretive always comes with like a bit of a negative connotation. Like, being secretive, you're hiding something, you're always sneaking around, and like, I'm not. I'm like a pretty much an open book online about like certain things. I never used to think I was secretive until this year. It's not the fact that I'm secretive, but I think it is the only thing that I can put this under. But I have realized that the whole world does not need to know what you are doing. And the less people know, the less they talk about it. There was one point in my breakup where everyone was talking about who I was texting. Everyone. And that was because I was openly posting online what I was doing at the weekends. Everything was a free-for-all. My Instagram was open. My stories were 20 stories deep on a night out. The reels were like 10 minutes long after every summer, winter, autumn, birthday. Everything, and it still is, to be fair, everything was online. I have not taken any of my reels down because I love them. I love reflecting on them. I love looking at them. But everything was online. Everything was so accessible. And I think that comes with like wanting to prove that I was okay when I wasn't. I was in a hole because I felt like I was so humiliated with the fact that my ex had jumped into a new relationship. Like, you know, my 14 years of love was not worth it. And like, I very much felt like people would look at that and think, oh my God, like Lou did something wrong, when I didn't. And I felt like I had to constantly try and say to people like, oh no, like it wasn't me that did anything wrong. And then I was having to tell my whole life story to people in the pub when they were like, how's he jumped into a new relationship? I was there fighting for my life. And I think that had a massive part to play with it. The fact that, you know, it is soul destroying when your ex gets into a new relationship so quickly. And yes, people could turn around and say, well, it was 6 months. I've blinked and 3 years have passed. So friggin' God knows how quickly 6 months felt. So I think that's why I was like posting online, and like the more I put out there, the more people were saying, oh, do you know what? She actually is okay. She's here. She's there. She's doing all the rest of it. And I have realized now that when people say to me, what have you been up to? I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't post. And like my sister said the other day, you've got 6 posts on your Instagram. Why? And I'm like, because I don't want, it's not that I don't want people to know what I'm doing. It's because I've realized the value in actually having people that are invested in your life, that they message you and they know exactly what you're doing. My friends know exactly what I'm doing, where I am, what I'm doing, who I'm with, when I am with them, because we talk all the time. You can manipulate your Instagram to look however you want it to look. I always say this, you know this, I've always said, do not believe what you see online. I am so transparent on these podcast episodes, but I do not post my current life on my Instagram. Very rarely hear me say, this is what I'm up to this weekend, like talking on my Instagram stories. That whole part of my Instagram has kind of died. I do want to show up more talking stories, but I used to be like, hi guys, today I'm doing this. Hi guys, today I'm doing that. Hi guys, today I'm doing this. If people wanted to know what I was doing, they could find out. Now, I like to think that that is the complete opposite. My Instagram is an advertisement for my podcast. Everybody knows that. So I have realized that when you are truly at peace with your life, you do not need to post online. You don't need to post the quotes. You don't need to post the photo reel of how amazing your weekend's been. You don't feel the need to post to update. You don't feel the need for that. I post random quotes. I post little videos. I post my weekends out if I want to. But it was constant on mine, and I would post like the indirect quotes and, you know, quotes like, and quotes that were like very much directed towards somebody. I don't feel the need to do that anymore because I've got nothing to prove. I feel like the people posting the most and the most indirect stuff online are the people that feel like they have the most to prove. And that is just not me anymore. It was once upon a time, but it wasn't me anymore. I don't feel the need to update anybody on my life. If you know about my life, that's because I value you in my life. I don't feel the need to update everybody on my social media of what I'm doing in my life, because like I said, if you know what I'm doing, it's because I've messaged you, and that's because you are close to me in my life. Everybody else who isn't close to me doesn't need to know. And I think I have really realised that this year. And my best friend Isabel, she's awful. She's like, you need to be more mysterious. And I'm like, it's not about being mysterious. It's not about like what's she doing, who's she with, blah blah blah. Because if someone was to ask me outright, who knew me, like who had got me on my personal Instagram, like, hey, who were you with at the weekend, like face to face, I'd probably tell them. But you know, like online, I've just gone through this massive change this year that like I don't feel the need to let everybody know where I am, what I'm doing. I also live by myself, so if I was to declare that I am out of the country and my house is empty with my car sitting on my drive, not great. So I've had to like be really clever, and I've had to actually like grow up a little bit in that respects online this year, just to make sure that I'm protected, but also my peace. I feel like there is a huge difference with people saying like they're really content with their lives and then posting to prove a point, and then people saying like they're really content with their lives and actually not really caring about posting. It's funny because I sent a message to my best friend Faith about 5 hours ago saying, hey, just to let you know, I really like my outfit for Saturday. Can we be social media present this weekend? Like, you can choose to be social media present. It's my birthday. I'm probably going to post a lot, but I'm not posting like I used to. And It's funny who asks the questions when you're not posting. People become quite nosy, and I would prefer that than people, like I said, talking constantly about where I am, about who I'm texting and who I am or am not seeing. And that's what I mean with like, I have really completely understood the importance of peace and the importance of being like authentically you. And one of the most important things that I think I have realized is my friends and family and this community and you as a listener are so important in my life. And like the gratitude that I have for everyone that supports me. And I post something online and I can guarantee my sisters, my best friends, I have obviously all my followers, but my loyal core followers that have been with me since 2021, I see their names come up in my likes. I see them come up in the comments. I get check-in messages from them. I am so grateful for you guys. And I have realized that a lot of my earlier podcasts, I was saying like there was blessing in the breaking, you know, that like out of pain comes power, and, you know, what doesn't kill you will actually 100% make you stronger. But I think sometimes I didn't believe them like in my heart. Whereas now I 100% am grateful for everything that I went through. And I will always caveat that and say I'm not grateful for what my ex did, how he left and what he did to my family. But I am so grateful that I have been put on this path, because when I look around me and when I think about my birthday, I'm celebrating it with all my friends. I'm not just celebrating it with like my partner and like maybe one other. I'm celebrating it with a whole host of people. The guys that I hang around with, every year this happens, they always have something on my birthday weekend. We have plans next weekend to do something for my birthday, and I know that they will all show up, all of them. So we've got plans in the diary for then. I have the most incredible people around me. My family is growing. We've obviously got a new addition this year. There's now 12 of us in my family. There's 12 of us in the family. I saw my auntie for the first time, my auntie and uncle for the first time last weekend, and they were so interested in what I'm doing. I have the most incredible parents. I have realised just how amazing my parents are, watching me go through losing my house, my relationship, them having to watch me go through my breakup, losing my house, my identity, and then losing my job, and supporting me through that. No parent wants to see that. No parent probably wanted. My parents probably didn't ever think that they would ever have to see me go through the amount of stuff that I have gone through in the last 3 years of my life. But I'm so grateful for it, because it has shown me that what I have and how lucky I actually am. And yes, you know, there's always one person that is hurt the most out of a breakup. And you see things online that are like the person that's hurt the most rises up the most. And there have been times in the last year where I've thought I am never going to catch a break. It's been one thing after another. Like I said, my relationship, my house, my life, my job. I thought, how the hell am I going to come out of this? And how have I come out of this? How have I come out this on top? How have I come out of this smiling? And the reason why I've come out on top and the reason why I've come out smiling is because of my family. It is because of my parents. It's because of my sisters, my brother, my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my nephews, my nieces, all the people that I see at Friday Club, all my friends, all my girls, their partners, and everybody who supports me online. That is the reason why I've come out on top. That is the reason why I do not mind reflecting on another tough year, because I have been carried again by the most incredible people in my life. And yet And my circle, and this is why I really hate those quotes online that are like, keep your circle small, keep everything tight, you can't trust anybody. No, I do not agree. My circle is huge and I trust everybody in it. I trust my entire circle. I trust my family. I trust my friends. And I feel like when you have got a huge group of friends, when you've got a supportive family, that is only a true reflection on the energy that you give out. It's a reflection on who you are as a person. If you attract these incredible people, that my best friends have been my best friends for 20 plus years, and I think that is only a reflection on the type of person that you are. And so if you sometimes think like, when you're online, and so if you are reading these things like I do, when I read them online, I just think, why are people bragging about keeping their friendship circle small? I don't get it. Honestly, it just baffles me. It blows my mind, because like, if you're watching this, I don't know if you could hear it, but if you were watching this, you could definitely see tears coming in my eyes. And I feel like I'm not back to who I used to be when I was 29, because I look back on photos when I'm 29 and when I was in that relationship, and I am so lost. I had no idea just how lost I actually was. And one of my followers the other day, bless her heart, she went back to me pre-breakup and she messaged me saying like, I can't believe how much I related to you, saying that like you looked at the photographs of yourself and you thought, oh my God, like how did I not see what was going on, what it was doing to me, and the impact it had on me. I'm not back to who I was. I'm a completely different person, and I am absolutely 100% becoming the person that I was meant to be all along. And I couldn't become that person until my entire life fell apart, because I needed to brick it back together piece by piece, because I wouldn't be sitting here now saying that I'm so happy with my life, I'm so content, I'm working hard, I have the most amazing people around me, I have the most amazing community around me who I am so grateful for as well. I'm so grateful for you guys. I wouldn't be sat here doing any of this had my life not fell apart. And I truly think turning 33 in the next year, I am actually going to not come from a place of survival. I feel like it's the year that I'm going to step into a year of like completely acting on self-trust and no longer having to act in survival mode for the first year for 3 years of my life, which is wild. And I'm so excited, like so excited. So thank you for listening if you made it to the end of this. It was a rambly episode. There's a lot to reflect on. This year has been wild to me. I always do a birthday episode, so hopefully you have enjoyed it. If you want more and more episodes, you know, I talk about the stories that I tell on my Patreon, then you are more than welcome to come and join my Patreon. It is £5 a month. You can sign up through the links in my bios. I'm keeping the price the same at the moment. So if that is something that takes your interest, then please come over and join. It's a great community over there. I've literally just before I started recording just caught up with a lot of the girls that I've got on there, just looking through, seeing what episodes I could do this week, because 2 additional episodes will go live this week as well. Like I said, guys, I am giving myself 3 days off now, so I'm going to go and enjoy my birthday. Eat loads of cake, drink loads of wine, eat loads of food, to be fair. Loads of gluten-free cake. Still not sold on it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm picking up my birthday cake tomorrow, so we shall see. If you need any additional support on No Contact or stepping into the strongest version of yourself, those 2 courses are available in my Stan Store shop, which you can access also by following the link. I think that's everything. If you don't want to do any of that, just make sure that you have liked and subscribed to my either YouTube channel, my Spotify, or my Apple Podcasts. You can leave me a review as well on my Apple Podcast, which is something that I never ask for and I probably should be asking more for. It's just something that slips my mind. Anyway, if you don't want to do any of that, just come and join me next week for another hour-long episode. I'll probably have lots to talk on, lots to catch up on. So look after yourself, guys. Bye!